Most men spend their entire lives trying to impress women without realizing that the real game was never about impressing her in the first place. What if I told you that one of the sharpest political minds in history understood something about female nature that modern men completely ignore? Something subtle, something uncomfortable, something that, once you see it, you can never unsee. And this changes everything about how you walk, talk, and carry yourself around women. Few men understand this, but attraction is not built on kindness, logic, or even looks. It is built on perception of power. Not loud power, not fake dominance, but the quiet, controlled, unshakable power of a man who cannot be emotionally moved unless he chooses to be. This is where it gets interesting. Machiavelli observed that people are driven less by morality and more by self-interest, emotion, and perception. And when you apply that lens to female attraction, the truth nobody says out loud begins to surface. Women are not attracted to the man who treats them the best. They are drawn to the man whose emotional state they cannot easily control. Most men never realize that when a woman tests you, challenges you, ignores you, or becomes unpredictable, what she's really doing is measuring your emotional stability. She's asking one silent question: can I move this man? Because if she can move you, she can predict you. And if she can predict you, the mystery dies. And when mystery dies, attraction quietly fades. This is why the nice guy loses. Not because he is kind, but because he is transparent. He reacts instantly. He shows all his cards. He makes his interest obvious. He becomes emotionally available before she has earned access to that side of him. And what she's really feeling is not safety, but boredom. Machiavelli understood that influence comes from controlling what others know about you. In dating, this becomes magnetic. When you are slightly unpredictable, emotionally composed, and not desperate to be understood, you create a psychological tension that women feel but cannot explain. But here's where most men get it wrong. They try to act cold, distant, or arrogant. That's not power. That's insecurity wearing a mask. Real power is warmth without neediness, presence without pressure, interest without chasing. And few men understand how rare that combination is. Women are incredibly intuitive. They don't listen to what you say. They read how you feel. So when you say, "I'm fine," but your energy screams anxiety, she feels it. When you try to impress her, she feels the effort. When you fear losing her, she senses it instantly. And the moment she feels that you are trying to win her, she unconsciously feels she has already won. This changes everything, because now the goal is no longer to make her like you. The goal is to remain centered in yourself, regardless of what she does. When she takes longer to reply, you don't shift. When she cancels plans, you don't get emotional. When she tries to provoke jealousy, you remain amused, not reactive. What she's really seeing is a man whose emotional world does not revolve around her, and that is incredibly attractive. Machiavelli wrote that people respect what they cannot easily manipulate. And in modern dating, this truth is painfully accurate. The man who is hardest to emotionally manipulate becomes the man she respects the most. Not because he plays games, but because he doesn't need to. Most men live in fear of losing the woman. The high-value man lives in certainty that he will be fine with or without her. And this subtle difference is felt in every interaction. You see it in how he texts, in how he listens, in how he pauses before responding, in how he never rushes to fix emotional tension. He lets it breathe. He lets her wonder. He lets her feel the gap. And in that gap, attraction grows. What she's really doing when she becomes distant is not losing interest. She's checking if you panic, if you chase, if you over-explain, if you break your frame. Because if you do, she learns that her withdrawal controls you. But if you don't, she leans back in. Few men understand this emotional dance. They rush to close the distance when the distance was the very thing creating desire. Here is the powerful mindset shift. Stop trying to be liked. Start being respected. Because attraction follows respect, not the other way around. When you respect yourself enough to not overinvest, not overshare, not overchase, something strange happens. She starts investing. She starts wondering. She starts thinking about you more than you think about her. This is not manipulation. This is emotional discipline. And emotional discipline is rare. Machiavelli believed that controlled restraint is more powerful than emotional expression. In dating, this means you don't reveal everything. You don't react to everything. You don't chase clarity at every moment. You allow mystery to exist, because mystery creates curiosity. Curiosity creates emotional engagement, and emotional engagement creates attachment. Most men talk too much, explain too much, show too much. They remove all tension from the interaction. They try to make everything comfortable, but attraction does not grow in comfort. It grows in emotional tension, in uncertainty, in wondering. This is why women often feel drawn to the man who seems calm, grounded, slightly mysterious, and difficult to read emotionally. Not because he is playing a role, but because he is genuinely self-contained. He has a life, a mission, a direction, a world that does not pause for her attention. And that world is what she wants to step into. The truth nobody says out loud is this: women don't fall for the man who prioritizes them first. They fall for the man who prioritizes his purpose first and invites them into his life. This is what Machiavelli understood about human behavior. People value what they must work to access. And when your attention, emotional energy, and time are not freely given, they become valuable. She begins to earn your validation instead of you begging for hers. She begins to wonder what you're thinking instead of you trying to decode her. She begins to feel that being with you is a privilege, not a favor you're asking from her. And this silent shift in power changes the entire dynamic, because now you are not reacting to her emotions. She is reacting to your stability. You are not trying to win her approval. She is trying to win your attention. You are not afraid to lose her. She becomes afraid to lose you. That is the moment attraction locks in, and most men never realize that this was the key all along. If this opened your eyes, subscribe now, because most men will never hear this truth.